What I'm going to talk about next is an employer that went all the way. Now, we won this client in 2018 because we were bringing them new ideas, in particular, self-funding. The interesting part, they stayed fully insured for a number of years afterwards, 3 years after. During that time frame, they switched carriers, but we had developed a 3-year plan with them. And we had informed them that, hey, look, at some point, your options are going to run out in the market, and you're going to have to move into a different type of arrangement, a self-funded arrangement. And guess what happened? 7/1 of 2022, United Healthcare hit them with a 35% increase, would not budge at all, no competitive options on the table. They decided to do something different. Here's what their plan designs looked like. They had 77% of their population enrolled in a $6,000 high-deductible health plan. The other option, also a high-deductible health plan. What does that mean? That means you pay first dollar prescriptions until you've met your deductible, right? So significant barriers to care. But you can't make these plan designs much worse, right? This employer didn't have a lot of room to go. Now, what we showed them, this is the actual self-funded proposal that we walked them through. So I want you to see this. This is all the different components that you need to consider. This particular employer, 90 employees, they purchased terminal liability because, this is the first time they were going self-funded. They weren't sure. They were committing, but they wanted to protect themselves. Now, you're going to have estimated claim costs, right, that are obviously going to come in. You have your stop loss costs. This employer did purchase both individual and aggregate stop loss. They went with a $75,000 deductible. We have admin fees in here. We do have the broker fees in here. And this is something I would say, if you're moving from a fully insured arrangement to a self-funded, you've got to take this into consideration, because if you're fully insured, the likelihood that commissions are built into that premium today is very, very high. So you want to make sure when you're comparing a self-funded proposal, you're including the broker fees as well. So they're not pulling that out to the side. Lastly, this particular employer decided to do something with direct primary care, which is a different way to purchase primary care, was a difference maker in this health insurance plan. They went with a company out of Chicago called ImagineMD. And so they implemented this on their, actually most of their population. I'll show you what happened. But here's what we looked for in the cost, right? Here was the United Healthcare 35% increase, right? That's your max liability, because it's a fully insured premium. We know what you're paying. When we had this self-funded proposal, which I'm going to tell you was a very aggressive one, these guys did a lot within their health insurance plan. Their expected costs were only 12.5% over UHC, and the worst case scenario was 29.5%. This is what sold this employer into self-funding. Their worst case scenario was better than their max liability on a fully insured standpoint. Now, I will tell you, it's because of how aggressive they got that helped. But you want to look for an expectation that gives you some upside, right? 35% to 12.5%, there's a lot of upside there for an employer. This is just like the icing on the cake that your worst case scenario isn't going to be any worse than what you were going to pay. So this was kind of a slam dunk for this particular employer. Doesn't always happen that way. Here's what happened. They did not take the 35% increase. Their first year, they actually came pretty close to where we expected. They came in at a plus 11% increase. What was super interesting, so this was a sick population. We implemented direct primary care. We found a lot of stuff within the first year. So it made sense that costs went up a little bit. But that started to get under control, and they came down another 9% in year 2. So this employer effectively wiped out that entire 35% increase. And they did so by improving their plans. So remember, they had a $6,000 high deductible health plan with 3/4 of their population enrolled in it. Now they had a $3,000 PPO style plan copay style plan is what I mean here. And they had 92% take this plan. This plan gave employees unlimited and free access to primary care physicians who had a significantly reduced patient panel, meaning they had a lot more time to spend with patients. I'm talking hour-long visits, same next day appointments, if you absolutely need it. We had 92% of the people take that plan because we incented them through design and employee contributions. And leadership took this plan. They practiced what they preached. That, more than anything, made the difference here. But, I mean, look at that. You go from a $6,000 deductible, paying prescription drugs, first dollar, right, until you meet your out-of-pocket max, and now you have a $5 copay for generic. So what we did here was we removed all the barriers of care, and that's how we got the results that we got. And so your action items here are simple. One, if you're fully insured today and you're looking at maybe self-funding, or you're already self-funded, consider these provisions and ask your broker, if you have these provisions, and if not, what kind of gaps that creates. Do you have a no new laser rate cap provision? Are you protected in the event that you go back fully insured in case something happens that's out of your control, right? That's called terminal liability option, or TLO. Ask about that. Make sure you understand what's going on with your lasers. Make sure you understand what's called run-in limits as well. And that's particularly important for employers that exist already self-funded and just changing stop-loss carriers. So make sure you know about these provisions. In the absence of some of these, you're probably going to have some gaps in coverage. Ask your broker if you should keep aggregate stop-loss coverage or not, right? Do that analysis. And then ask your broker what you can do to contain costs. Maybe it's moving into a level funded arrangement. Maybe it's moving into a health reimbursement account and starting to collect a little bit of data. But if you're self-funded, have them do a PBM analysis for you. And don't just go to ESI, Caremark, and Optum. Go to some independent pharmacy benefit managers that aren't owned by a major insurance carrier. That's where you're going to start to see some low-hanging fruit on your health plan. So those are all action items that you can take today. I want to now open it up for some questions. And also, I want to give you a handful of resources here. First, I do a ton of content. I post a ton of content on LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm finding a couple things here. I post a ton of content on LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, I encourage you to connect with me just so you can see some of that daily content. If you're interested in some kind of second opinion on your health plan, or you just want to talk about like your top 10 drugs, there is a QR code to set a meeting with me. Also, subscribe to my blog. I post probably every month or every other month about some various topics. I've done, I think my most recent one was on level funding. So check that out as a resource as well.